Now, late last year, I did a video about the 20-mile-an-hour speed limits in Wales and how they were an absolute nightmare, pain in the arse, doomed to fail, and just so badly thought through it was unreal. And then the Welsh came to their senses and started taking them all out again. And now people in Cornwall are accused of being a little bit behind the times and a little bit backward. And it's totally unjustified. Except Cornwall Council have now announced, and particularly because it's appeared in my hometown, the same place where there's only one charger, that they're going to make most of it 20 mile an hour. And when I say most of it, have a look at this map. Everything in orange is going to be 20 mile an hour, and the only bits that aren't are in purple. So as you can see, pretty much all of it, pretty much the entire town, going to be 20 mile an hour. Now you'd think that they would have looked at Wales and thought, oh right, they've already implicated that and it hasn't worked there at all. In fact, it's been an unmitigated disaster and they're having to pull it out of everywhere. So we should really look at real life examples and where it's been done and not worked. And we should look at that. No, that's what business would do. This is not business. This is local government or any government. So their answer is to conduct their own research and surveys and just use models. Remember the models that we seen in 2020 that turned out to be all wrong? That type of thing. Research, investigations, not real life experience, because what the hell use is that in the real world? So, landed on a lamppost near you, if you live near me, is this map with instructions of where to go to the website to see all about Cornwall Council's rollout of 20 mile per hour zones. So it's not just here, it's the entire county. They're doing it blanket right across the lot. So I read it. And it's just like everything else that's designed around climate change. It completely ignores real world. It completely ignores the evidence in front of your face and focuses on research and just shit. So, not surprisingly, the first thing that comes up, the reason why we need 20 mile an hour limits everywhere, is pollution. Apparently, there is little, this is a quote, there is little evidence to suggest reducing vehicle speeds to 20 mile an hour increases pollution. There is little evidence. So in other words, there is evidence. So there's evidence, but just not enough of it for them to take notice of. Because that would be evidence. But there's little evidence. Next sentence. Research has shown it reduces CO2. So you've got evidence that shows it increases pollution. But you've got research that shows it reduces CO2. So which one do you go with? Do you go with the evidence, the actual thing that's real, or do you go with the bloke in a lab drawing a graph? Well, of course, this is climate change. This is 2024. This is the government. So they've gone for the graph. There is no evidence whatsoever to support the fact that journey times are increased by driving slower. Where do you want me to start with that? So you're telling me I need to go, right, let's go over to the Olympics. I'll pick Usain Bolt because I can't remember. What was he called? Guy that won the, I can't remember. Whoever, Usain Bolt used to run at 30 mile an hour. So I'm going to go over to Usain and go, oh, Usain, you want to be running at 20, mate. You'll get there just as quick. How? How's that work? Running at 30 mile an hour, he gets there in 10 seconds. Running at 20 mile an hour, he'll still get there in 10 seconds because research has proved that driving slower makes you get there at the same time. No, that's... What, Newton's law doesn't apply? Einstein's theory of relativity doesn't apply when it comes to speed limits? No. Throw science out the window. Throw everything out the window. We've got a research model that shows that it doesn't increase journey times. Bollocks. MPH, miles per hour. You don't need to be a scientist and you don't need to be a climatologist to work out that if you do 30 miles per hour, you will do 30 miles in an hour. If you do 20 miles per hour, you will do 20 miles in an hour. That's 10 miles less. That's not science. That's not research. That's basic maths. Anyway, we go on. The next thing they say is that they've learnt from Wales and that all roads will be judged on a case-by-case basis, because Wales did a blanket thing, 20 mile an hour, and that didn't work. So they're going to do it case by case. So every individual road in the county will be judged on its individual merits. No, it won't. And I made that statement before I read the next statement. No, it won't. So then the next statement says, and I quote, "The majority of roads will be reduced to 20 mile an hour." Hang on, I thought it was on a case-by-case basis. But you've already stated the majority, i.e. most, for those of you that don't know what the word majority means, like the council and the government, the majority of roads will be reduced, will, not may, will be reduced to 20 mile an hour. So they've already made up their minds. It's not a case-by-case basis. It's a case of, we'll pick about 10 roads out of 1,000 and go, well, we won't make them 20 mile an hour because one car drives down them a week. So there's no advantage to that whatsoever. So that's not going to happen either. So they're doing a consultation. They've already decided the majority of roads are going to be reduced to 20 mile an hour anyway. They're ignoring the evidence and going on research. They're doing it on a case-by-case basis, except they aren't. And it's costing £4 million. But that money's ring-fenced. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with local government terms such as ring-fenced, what they mean by that is we've put a caveat in it so that we can't spend the money on anything else. So we have to spend this money on this, otherwise it'll just get wasted. It's what they used to do with EU funding all the time. Oh, well, we had to spend the money on that mural that we've painted on the side of the wall that cost 300 grand because that was money from the Arts Council and that couldn't be spent on potholes. And they actually say in the document, we cannot spend this money on potholes. Think how many potholes you could fill for 4 million. But no, you can't, because they've deliberately put the clause in, it can only be spent on this. So we might as well spend it, and we might as well do it anyway. We know nobody, well, there are people out there that want it. And before you say, oh, you're the type of ignorant fool that speeds past schools. No. A, I'm not, because I've got kids. And I used to take them to school, so I know what it's like. So I never speed past schools. But here's the thing. I've racked my brains for every school that's on that map. And I've been through a lot. And I can tell you that at kicking out time and dropping off time at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, every single one of them is totally gridlocked. Cars parked down both sides of the road. Parents everywhere. You cannot do more than 2 mile an hour outside those schools at the critical times. That's without putting any traffic calming measures in. That's without putting any extra 20 mile an hour zones in. They're already gridlocked. So the thought of being able to do 30 mile an hour past those schools is a no-go anyway. It's impossible. And I've been round all the schools, all the primary schools and the 2 secondary schools. It's impossible. It can't be done. So it's achieved nothing. Dropping it from 30 to 20 has achieved nothing. So what's the reasoning behind it then? Because apart from keeping kids safe, the whole, oh, driving at 20 is so much safer than driving. No, because what'll happen is people won't drive at 20. Look at Wales, where they've done it. Don't look at science. Don't look at the book or the computer screen. Look at the place where they've actually done it. And look at the real world evidence, which shows it doesn't work. Because you got half the people driving at 10 mile an hour because they're shaking like a shitting dog. They're going to get a speeding ticket. And then you've got twats who go, well, I'm not waiting around for her driving at 10 mile an hour or him. And they overtake. So you actually create more problems than you solve by putting in these 20 mile an hour limits, which is why Wales are taking them out. It's not a coincidence because there's real world evidence to prove it. But no, we're going to ignore all that. Don't worry about any of that. We're going to do it anyway. Cornwall Council, you are on notice. See, most of you regular viewers to this channel won't know that 10 years ago, I used to do all this local politics stuff, and I started a page and I got involved in all local politics and council and county council and planning and everything like that. And surprise, surprise, I was quite effective. And then I decided to retire from it all because it did me head in and I went slightly mental. Well, I'm back. I'm not mental anymore and I was still retired. But if you keep coming up with crap like this, which is against all the logic, and it's just a do-goodery, oh, look at us, we've made everything so much better. You haven't. You will make things worse. You will not make it better. The evidence shows it makes things worse. Look at it, study it, learn from it. Don't ignore it and go on your computer models. That's what you've been doing with planning for years, and that's where you've been going wrong. Cornwall Council, don't make me come out of retirement. I want it to be my past, not the future. My arse.